is you're muted. Beautiful intro.
Lord. Beautiful intro. Muted. Good Lord. Well, it's appropriate. It's an interesting day. We had an interesting morning. That was an interesting spaces. Got a little heated. But I figured we could continue that conversation, maybe in a more relaxed environment. And you can get some of those points off again.
Yeah. But first, let's talk about Shogun.
Okay.
So Shogun launched. Yeah, because the numbers are actually pretty well. So Shogun launched 3.5 days ago. It's now on day 4. So the first day got 2 trillion-ish. The second day got 1.4 trillion-ish. The third day got 1.4 trillion-ish. The chart looks like it's somewhat finding a bottom. That's good. But the interesting thing about Shogun is Shogun already has $750,000 worth of liquidity existing across all ecosystem assets. So across 22 pairs. And we're doing over 550k of volume a day. Now, why does volume matter on Shogun? That volume feeds the war chest and burns Shogun and feeds the liquidity. That is insane. $500,000. All of that, 60 to 70% of that is price fixer bots fixing the prices across the pools. The two biggest pools that is doing it all now is TitanX Shogun and X28 Shogun. And you see the volume trickle down all the other pools as liquidity gets added. I've seen a very, very direct correlation between size of liquidity across all pairs and total volume. Like the more liquidity exists, the more the volume goes up. So Shogun is almost burning 1% of its supply a day. Obviously, not all supply exists yet. And my assumption is as more supply comes out and more liquidity gets added to the pair, that volume is only going to go up because there's more for bots to price fix with. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Shogun might go hyper-deflationary before day 28 is over. That could happen.
Not to get ahead of ourselves and not to kill the stream before we even start it, but I mean, that almost seems like maybe this whole liquidity conversation and worrying is a little bit almost, ahead of time. Like we're talking about what's going to happen in the Super Bowl and we're still in the preseason here. Like Shogun's still got a month to go, in terms of the initial release. If what you're saying is true and as the liquidity fills up and that volume kicks up more and more and more, we're going to burn an insane amount, which should be just drawing more and more in. So, all this, sort of liquidity fears, I won't call it FUD, might just be completely overblown and a moot point here in about a month.
Oh, yeah. Liquidity on Titan, it's so healthy. It's 8.88x more than Bitcoin, and that's giving a very, very heavy margin of safety to Bitcoin because that's assuming liquidity across all central exchanges, 2% depth is what it's called. Most of the liquidity is around that 2%. So I'm assuming that 2% times 50 is the liquidity sitting on the order books in that centralized exchange. And then I do that across all. So Bitcoin has $9 billion of liquidity and a $1.8 trillion asset. That's nothing. That's the equivalent of having a $1.8 billion asset with $9 million in liquidity. Actually, yeah, $9 million in liquidity, $1.8 billion asset. TitanX is 8 to 9 times relatively more liquid than Bitcoin. Because obviously we can't have $9 billion in liquidity if we're only an $80 million asset. That's not how math works. But relatively, TitanX has 8 to 9 times more liquidity than Bitcoin. So the liquidity is extremely healthy. And the cool thing about TitanX is the more time goes. So I had this cool saying in my head today. It's TitanX with every move gets stronger. Sellers with every move get weaker. So it's the weak fighting the strong until the strong wins. Because TitanX only gets more deflationary. It only gets more scarce. It only has more builders. Adoption is up. Volume is up. Yeah, adoption is up. Volume is up. We're hyper-deflationary. Like even today we burned 1 trillion. Burned. Not from liquid to in a smart contract. Burned 1 trillion TitanX today alone. And the day is not even over yet. That is wild. That is unbelievable. So every move that TitanX makes, it gets stronger. And sellers are out of tokens. So like this is the whole conversation of leading indicators and lagging indicators. Price is lagging. Leading is hyperdeflation, adoption, social media metrics. Everything is up.
So why do you think there's this perception of a liquidity issue?
Because people talk about it. So this is the interesting thing. Yeah, and this is how propaganda works. Because our community has basically been self-imploding propaganda, which is it's a very interesting case study. It's like so with the elections, where red team, blue team would spread a bunch of lies about red team, and because blue team only heard those lies, that's what they believed. That became their reality, even though it wasn't our reality. That's the same idea, because everybody talks about liquidity fears. Because more people talk about it, becomes more real in people's head, but the data shows the complete opposite. So as people ignore data, listen to propaganda, the propaganda becomes reality because so many people believe it. So that's why I'm like, it's fine. Stop talking about it, it's fine. We're 9 times more liquid than Bitcoin. That's data. So like the moment the data comes out, yeah, so we've basically been propagandized by our own community, which is crazy.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I remember a couple weeks ago I shared out a screenshot of DEX screener main pairings on Ethereum, and ranked by liquidity, we had 3 in the top 21 or 22. And all of Ethereum, out of all of the pairs, on the main pairings, we had 3 in the top 20. And then, like you say, when you proportionally, with ratio of liquidity to market cap, we have some of the best ratios in all of crypto, period.
100%. We're even more liquid than Pepe. TitanX is
Yes.
3 times relatively more liquid than Pepe. That's crazy.
Yep. Let me bring that up just as an example. Ooh, I almost clicked off the stream. Good Lord. That's fun when you do that. Click off the stream while you're on it. Like,
I did that once by accident.
All right, let's go. All right. Am I sharing the right screen? Can you see it right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but Pepe is a unique case because it also has liquidity pools on centralized exchanges. So with Bitcoin, I use the example of, because Bitcoin primarily trades on centralized exchanges, and the DEX pools are so tiny compared to centralized exchange liquidity. So Bitcoin has $9 billion of liquidity across all centralized exchanges at a $1.8 trillion market cap. That's nothing. That's the equivalent of a $1.8 billion asset having $9 million in liquidity. So compared to that, TitanX is 80 million market cap at $2 million of Ethereum side liquidity. And that number only goes up as the price goes up. Because like liquidity gets switched around, etc., etc. There's a bunch of stuff happening. That's the only thing that matters. We're more liquid than Bitcoin.
I just did a quick, calculation on the market cap of Pepe, off of its main Ethereum pair to its liquidity. And I mean, it's 1%. And most of these are 1% or lower. We have much higher than 1% liquidity to market cap. And we're still in its infancy, technically. I mean, if you think about where we're going, I mean, we're not in our infancy considering, we started a year ago, but considering where this thing, can go, this is still the beginning. So the liquidity is going to gain as the market cap gains. And I would imagine that as we get higher and higher and higher, we're going to look at that liquidity and go, oh, that's funny. Yeah, we thought there was a problem, but we literally have some of the best liquidity in all of crypto right now.
100%. Even the wrapped Ethereum TitanX pair on farms, people can make 105% a year just providing liquidity between wrapped Ethereum and TitanX. 105%. You can't get that in a farm anywhere else.
Yep. 100%. All right. Does anyone have any questions in the chat? I know that was a heated space. We want to make sure we got all the points out. And I actually sent Jake a funny message in the middle of the space. I said, everyone's interrupting you so much, you should come on my stream so I can interrupt you. Because we all know that's what I do.
Yeah, it was just a typical talk around the build on TitanX ethos again. So the crux of the conversation was, is a community trainer a good or a bad thing? That's if you just bring it down to basics, is a community trainer good or bad? A trainer is bad. That's it. That's end of story. There's good ways to build and there's bad ways to build. Like a metaphor for the conversation was basically, I feel restricted. People are telling me not to cut my leg off. So I will cut my leg off because I'm independent and I want to innovate. Maybe cutting your leg off is just a bad idea. and it shouldn't be debated. And that's this whole, should we use the ethos or not? Because if you just want to build without the ethos, don't touch the TitanX community. Leave us alone. Go build something on your own. But as you target the community and you want to get the users of the community, then you need to follow the ethos, something that is symbiotic. And especially if you're an existing builders, building a community drainer is even worse, because then they're not only draining TitanX, they're draining your own protocols on top of TitanX through proxy. So they're hurting themselves, they're hurting the community, they're pretending it's good and it's bad.
Talk about that a little bit in terms of like how a pairing on ETH can be a negative thing. You know, like for instance, there's a protocol that was made where I exchanged TitanX to get into it, and when I looked at how it routed it, it sold my TitanX off into Ethereum because this thing that I was getting into had a secondary Ethereum pairing, and then with that Ethereum, it went and bought the protocol. So it was completely detrimental to TitanX. The swap that I did, thinking that I'm doing something that's okay because it is paired secondarily with TitanX, but it still had that Ethereum pair, and so it sold me down onto the Ethereum. And so that TitanX was sold down, and on the chart, when I did my swap into something else, bang, negative red wick. And I was like, oh, that was me, because I just did this swap thinking I'm going to do a build on TitanX, but it's not built on TitanX if it has that extra pairing, and it can be routed away.
100%. The example would be, imagine Ethereum is TitanX, or TitanX is Ethereum. The conversation is essentially, okay, I want to build on top of Ethereum, TitanX, but I'm going to make a Solana pairing. That's the exact same example. So what will happen is you'll want to buy the other thing. So the Ethereum will get sold down into Solana, and Solana will buy the other thing, and then they're pretending it's a build on Ethereum thing, even though they're paired with Solana, and it's mostly a drainer. That's the exact same example, because TitanX is just the L1 within the L1. So everything on Ethereum is paired with Ethereum. Everything on Solana is paired with Solana. Everything on Pulse Chain is paired with Pulse Chain. Everything on... what would be another example? Whatever, so some other coin. It's paired with that coin. TitanX is the same, except we exist on Ethereum, so we don't need to inflate or fight inflation. We're hyper-deflationary. We have massive benefits by just leveraging Ethereum. So if you want to build on top of the L1, pair with the L1 like you do on any other L1. And that's what makes TitanX so powerful, because then you get the benefit. Because if you're not paired with TitanX, you get this massive issue where all the innovation that happens on TitanX go hyper-deflationary. Assume hypothetically the price goes up 10x. You get none of that. You get none of that benefit because you're not even paired to it. You're not even priced in it. So like, people only look at it one way. Like, okay, I have to sell TitanX into Ethereum to leave. Yeah, that's anything ever. If you want to leave Ethereum, you go sell into US dollars. It's the same. It's the same idea. Yeah, exactly. And the whole argument was, yeah, people are selling TitanX for Ethereum. I'm like, yeah, people are selling Ethereum for dollars, and people are buying Ethereum with dollars. Like, it's markets. That's how it happens. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Volume is good. And it has big liquidity, so people can do whatever the hell they want as DeFi. Yeah, but the build on TitanX ethos, summarized, is pair with TitanX, use TitanX or a build on TitanX protocol as input, burn a percentage, and that's it. That's how you build on top of the TitanX L1. And then you get all the benefits of... when other people build on top of TitanX.
I take call from the hospital. Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, so when builders build on top of TitanX, and they make TitanX even more hyper-deflationary, you, by proxy, by being paired with TitanX and following the TitanX ethos, gain value off of other people building on TitanX, because you gain the value accrual because you're priced in TitanX, and TitanX only becomes more scarce over time. People have to live in a very delusional world to believe that Ethereum will outperform TitanX, because TitanX is only an $80 million market cap. Ethereum is $300 billion. Like, so much more money has to enter Ethereum to move it up. At TitanX, it can happen very quickly. As we've seen before, we're like 4.5x off the bottom, like a couple months. And that was during hyperinflation. Like, now we're hyperdeflationary. It happened since November 12, 13-ish. And I've shared the numbers on Twitter. It's mind-blowing inflation, deflation. Yeah, we're burning roughly 0. The averages are... we're burning on average... because now it has Shogun data, and like a Shogun is only 3 days old. On average, over the last 2 weeks, we've burned $370,000 a day, which is 0.4% of the supply a day. Now, here's where it gets crazy. That's like, okay, that's cool for like 1 day, which is already insane. If you did it over a month, that's $11 million a month burned. on an $80 million asset and 12 to 13% of the supply burned. That is wild. That is nuts. See some of the comments while he's on call. Yeah, so no questions in the comments. But Shogun is going very well. We're only 3 days old. We have 750,000-ish in liquidity across 20 pairs. $550,000 of volume, of which 60 to 70% is arbitrage bots or price fixer bots. Every time a price fixer bot buys and sells, so it buys in the cheap pool, sells in the expensive pool, they're paying that 8% tax in and out. Now, as a user, you don't have to pay that 8% tax if you just enter to the auction. You have to pay it on the way out. But when you just enter the auction, you get it at 0% tax, 0% slippage, so you don't even need to worry about liquidity or whatever. Liquidity is thick enough. Like, we have 2 big TitanX Shogun pairs and X28 Shogun pairs. I think each of those is like 250K. That's a lot. That's plenty. And that's only going to get bigger. I would assume Shogun would have $2-3 million across all pairs by the time the 28-day distribution is over, and then we're hyper-deflationary. Because it's 100 million a day that people can auction for to get good chunks of the supply early on. And then after 28 days, it cuts off. There's no more inflation. It's hyper-deflationary, pure hyper-deflation. And even at this point, Shogun is burning on average 1% of its supply a day, even while inflating. That's wild.
You want to bring a screen up? You can share.
Nah, OPSEC.
Oh,
But people can go to app.shogun.win and then click on the stats page.
Hang on. I got it. There we go.
Altio says, do we pay the 8% tax?
Brilliant.
Do we pay the 8% tax when we claim tokens from the Shogun auction? No, when you claim, you pay 0. It's only when you sell. And when you go into the auction, it's also 0. So auction gives you 0% tax, 0% slippage. That's very clear. And you get the chance of getting amazing deals if nobody is paying attention. Like, you might be able to just get it 50% off. If like everybody's like, the Shogun thing sucks, you can snipe those auctions. Because the same thing happened with Volt. It was day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. It was down, 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 down. Day 6, 7 shot up, and all of a sudden, Volt went from this, this is interesting, like, it's not really doing anything, to holy shit, this is the best thing since life dead. And then people that ended the auction on day 6, 7 had to pay 5x more, 3 to 5x more than the people that just entered while nobody was paying attention. So I wouldn't be surprised if something similar plays out to Shogun, because people don't really understand supply distributions. Like, we're fairly launching the supply into the hands of the users, and then we're letting the system run wild.
Yeah, I mean, how many protocols have launched, didn't even get out of launch phase, and people are like, I'm already out, dump. You're like, okay, that's an interesting choice. I mean, at the same time, keep doing it, because for some of us, that's some of the best, easiest money we make is watching a post-launch dump and being like, and cheap stuff. Thank you.
100%.
I mean, that's part of game theory, right? There's people going into everything, things moving around, opportunities shift. All right. Anybody got any more questions? Did you talk about what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Shit, brain fart. Talk about how it sells down. There's another point there that I wanted to make on it, though, that I forgot. What are we talking about off stream?
That's a good question.
There's like 3 points I wanted to hit on. I already forgot what the other 2 were. All right. Well, I think we hit the main points. Basically, look, Shogun is barely in its infancy, and Shogun's going to be a hell of a burner. This thing is going to get this flywheel really cranking. And I think for us to talk about liquidity right now when the X28 Shogun engine is just barely starting, probably a little ahead of time. I mean, it's probably, you know, I have a common thing where like I don't like to talk about stuff until there's actually a real point to talk about it, because I hate just wasted conversations. And so let's pontificate about the World Series before the regular season has even started. Like, this is a wasted conversation. I don't even know who's going to be in the World Series, so why am I even talking about it? So talking about liquidity right now, while the Shogun X28 engine is just getting started, while we've talked about how proportionally our liquidity is fine compared to everything else, it's almost better. It's not an issue, and with where we're going, as we get bigger and bigger, it scales up. I don't like the idea. The more and more I think about it, of having the extra Ethereum routes, because unless it is all being diverted straight back into the system, there's straight leakage. And I've watched it myself. You know, I've watched making a swap and having it sell down TitanX. I mean, like, why did it do that? It sold it into Ethereum. It used the Ethereum to buy back into some other protocol. Well, that's a drain. So,
yeah. So the whole point of that conversation, was people trying to convince other people that making a leaky boat is a good thing. Like, let's just let some water run in. Let's make a hole here, hole here, hole here, and it's good because I don't fucking know why. People just come up with these stories in their head of like, this is good. We're gonna bring a new Ethereum, and then all they do is they go on TitanX Spaces, go on TitanX streams, make TitanX tweets, only talk to TitanX people, and then magically all these new people are gonna appear out of nowhere. Like, that's not how it works. Ethereum as input is not a bad thing. That's totally fine. Hyper does the same. Hyper takes in Ethereum, but then the Ethereum in the back end buys TitanX, and it's paired with TitanX. So when somebody wants to buy Hyper, they just go TitanX Hyper. And even when somebody just wants to buy Hyper with Ethereum and not mine, the Ethereum buys TitanX, then buys Hyper. So it's value accretive, and there's no value leak. And if somebody just wants to go TitanX Hyper, it goes TitanX Hyper without TitanX Ethereum Hyper. So there's no sell down. It's value accrual. And the TitanX gets locked into liquidity pools, which becomes this massive, massive, massive flywheel over time. Yeah, there's no benefits. There's zero benefits. And then the other thing that you'll get with a wrapped Ethereum pool is somebody's going to have to provide liquidity to that pool. And you might have an Ethereum pool, and it might only be like 20K each side. And then, oh yeah, you did all that for fuck all, nothing. There's no liquidity to sell into. That's also something you'll see, because it's all like fairy tales and stuff until you get into the real world, and like, somebody needs to provide liquidity here. And then the questions come, should I do it out of my own pocket? And if they're greedy, they'll say no. Yeah, so people just magically expect all this money to come out of nowhere. Yeah, but the whole conversation was trying to convince people that a leaky boat is a good boat. No, just keep the boat tight. Make sure there's no water in it. Make sure everything that is built on the boat helps the boat, makes it stronger, and then we can go farther.
A great example. I mean, it was said in the chat. I think Des said it, and then you're expanding on it also. You know, if someone's building on Pulse Chain, they don't build on Solana and then tell people that it's benefiting Pulse Chain. You know, everything's paired with Pulse. You know, so everything's on that Pulse Chain. So if it's going to be built on TitanX, it has to stay in TitanX. Otherwise, it is an extraction, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, this is such bullshit. You're one pool away from Ethereum. Like, if you want to go Hyper Ethereum, just do Hyper Ethereum on Uniswap, and you don't need to know what happens in the background. You go Hyper Ethereum, it's one swap, you pay one gas fee, you're done. So from a user point of view, you're just as close to Ethereum. Like, there's no extra user interactions required. Uniswap, Hyper Ethereum, boom, you're done. But the cool thing, people only look at the downside. They don't look at the upside. Everybody that buys all these build on TitanX protocols, that Ethereum buys TitanX first. So as somebody goes into one protocol, they push up all the protocols because everything's paired with TitanX.
I'm trying to think of like how many other ways can we explain this? All right, guys, got any more questions in the chat? I feel like we've hit this pretty well. You know, we're still in our infancy. Everything's scaling. We watch, you know, look, you remember the liquidity 6 months ago, and you see it now. We've scaled up, and so is the liquidity.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing is also, like, as supply burns, like, we burn 1 trillion today only, and the day is not even over. That's $1 trillion less sell pressure. Like, there's less and less liquidity worries as we go more and more hyper-deflationary. And then as the price goes up, liquidity fills up anyway. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we have $5 to $6 million in Ethereum side in like 2 months. Wouldn't be surprising at all. And also, like, a lot of people look at liquidity pools as the only money that exists, but that's not true. It's like when you look at real estate, people don't have millions of dollars sitting in liquidity pools to buy real estate. It's just when the deal is good, the money comes out of nowhere. There's no limit order sitting on real estate. So like when the TitanX price goes low enough and there's a good deal, there's like the trend shift or a reversal, people will come in. That doesn't sit in the liquidity pool. That money exists similar to real estate. And that's why things can have a $30 million liquidity pool but $100 million volume. That happens all the time. That money is not sitting in liquidity pool and limit orders just chilling there. When the deal is good, money comes out of nowhere. It's always how it happens.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's almost like the liquidity conversation is like, well, but I can't exit right now. Well, okay, well, this is a time and a math-based protocol that's always been that way. Everything that gets launched on this is going to work along those metrics of time and math, and we're going to work through this. But, liquidity is low. Well, are you trying to exit right now? I don't understand. Like, so, yeah, maybe it's just a euphemism of people trying to get out right now. I don't know. But
maybe.
Yeah.
I hope so. Because the cool thing. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I don't even know what I was gonna say. So you go ahead.
So, why am I so red? Okay, fixed.
Red.
What was the point? What were we talking about?
We're talking about liquidity, man. What specific point I was talking about liquidity? I don't know. Damn it. Where were we? See, that's what happens when you interrupt people. That's delays. I'm sorry. I do that. It's my fault. Aren't you glad you came on here and you weren't interrupted on Spaces? Oh.
Yeah, but these are important conversations because an ethos needs to be instilled. Because I've seen this happen with Ethereum, where they were super like builder agnostic and like, hey, do whatever the hell you want. And then they went with this roll-up centric roadmap. And then essentially what happened, instead of everything being value accretive to Ethereum and everything building together, you had these siloed off chains that just link to Ethereum to a bridge that just drained economic energy off of Ethereum 24/7 endlessly. And then Vitalik finally got a backbone and now they're trying to fix it. But if you just had a backbone to begin with, like, hey, here's the ethos for building on Ethereum, Ethereum will probably be almost beating Bitcoin at this point. So I've seen how this no ethos, do whatever the hell you want mentality gets you. And it's just a bunch of cannibalistic builders that just want to eat each other alive, and it becomes tribalistic. And instead of symbiotic, it's just a bunch of builders attacking each other instead of building together. That's what you get when there's no ethos. Yeah, there's this great saying, I think it was from the Spartans or whatever. It's when you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. So if you have a cannibalistic ecosystem, all it takes is a breeze and you're dead. But if it's symbiotic, like it takes a lot to build. It's like you have like 20 separate cars, or you have one massive transformer. That one massive transformer can take on 1 million cars, and none of them are going to beat it. So like TitanX is just a massive machine, and it works together and it's symbiotic. And to take down one thing, you need to take down everything. The Kool-Aid used to use this example of, so in the Spartan movies, the reason the Spartans were so hard to beat is because they moved as one formation. You didn't have you had all the Spartans and they formed like a phalanx. So all the shields worked together, and the moment one shield opened, the whole phalanx would break because they had a weak spot. It's like you can have a castle with a massive wall, but if there's one hole in the wall, the whole castle is fucking useless. And this is the exact same. So the ethos is the phalanx, the ethos is the wall. And the moment we're like, oh yeah, we can send those 7 troops off there on their own, they're gonna die, you're gonna die. You're weaker, they're weak. Yeah, exactly. So we need to keep the strong phalanx, we need to keep the strong walls, and the only way to do that is through the ethos. And it's not restrictive at all. Like, it's very, very simple rules. It's very simple rules.
I know I was going to say, we always talk about green candles brings the adoption. Well, adoption is the liquidity. So green candles brings the liquidity. Like, that's what's happening. Because, a whale sitting on the sidelines is liquidity that's not in here yet. And then when he decides to get in, that's liquidity that's in here now. Someone goes and buys 100K in ETH and then jumps into TitanX. That's 100K in ETH that just jumped into our system that wasn't there before. That's the adoption came. It brought the liquidity. So as we talk about the adoption's coming, that is the liquidity. Everything's been scaling up. It's going to keep scaling up.
100%. Like, also, if you want to, because there's two ways to look at a situation. Like, liquidity is not an issue at all, zero. But instead of talking about it like it's an issue, you can just market Titan farms. Be like, hey, you can provide liquidity on this hyper-deflationary asset with a blue chip, wrapped Ethereum TitanX, and you can earn 110% a year. So instead of like, you can be like, hey, look at this awesome thing, and you solve the problem by just promoting something that is awesome. So like, people just need to shift their mindset, because it's this whole like defeatist, victim, negative mentality, which is just very toxic to outsiders. The solution is, if you think it's a problem, the solution is there. It's 110% APR on a deflationary farm token, where you pair a blue chip, which is Ethereum, with a hyper-deflationary asset, which is TitanX, and you earn 110% a year, and you keep your TitanX, you keep your Ethereum, and you earn 110% of a farm token that is not dump only, has a buy and burn. So like this, the solutions are already there.
The farms are so huge, man. Like farms are literally built for whales to come in and let their liquidity just earn. It's going to be amazing. Have we gotten rid of malicious whales? I mean, I would imagine there's, by definition, technically some always everywhere. You're always going to have somebody who's going to want to do something that you don't want to do, which technically is malicious. Because what's a malicious whale? A guy who's selling? Well, that's what you want to do. I mean, eventually it's what we all want to do. So, I mean, yeah, there's always sellers. There's always buyers. We're going to have it. It comes and goes. But I guess to that point, have you seen a kind of a slowing down, maybe a trickling out of some of those previous bad actor whales?
Oh, yeah, most of them are out. Like, even at the current burning rate, we're burning a couple whales a day. We're burning 2 to 3 whales a day.
Oh, I like that. That's
so, like,
a great way to say it.
Yeah, and as time goes on, more and more of the top 100 is smart contracts. So most of our whales are smart contracts. They're not even people. Smart contracts aren't going to dump. They're coded to do one thing, and that's help the ecosystem.
Oh, I clicked on a firecracker. I'm going to click off it. He was basically agreeing with what I said, that the liquidity might be people trying to exit right now. Yeah, I got you.
And they can exit, because like this is something people don't get. Like they run around parading like they're some crypto expert, and then their way of exiting a system is, oh, let me just dump it all at once in one candle. I'm like, are you fucking retarded? Have you been around crypto? Like, that's not how it works. The way that this is VC called Wintermute. Somebody calls it winter poop. So like they essentially sell VC coins over centralized exchanges through volume. So what you can have on centralized exchanges, for example, is you can have a $3 million liquidity pool on a centralized exchange, and they want to sell $10 million worth of VC tokens. Obviously, $10 million is 3.2x more than what is in the liquidity. So they don't sell it down in one candle and send the thing down 100%. What they do is, if they see there's 500K of buy volume a day, 500K of buy volume a day, they'll sell 50,000 a day until they're out of the position. And they'll just slowly sell into the buy volume. And that's why you don't really see massive red candles. You see like maybe a little bit of a downtrend and then it kind of recovers. But these guys are able to sell millions of dollars, like $30 million into a $5 million liquidity pool, because they understand markets. They're not like, because if you sell 30 million into 5 million, it goes to zero. So they don't do it. So like these people that run around parading like they're experienced crypto users don't even understand how to exit a position. You can use single side liquidity, you set a time frame, and you just slowly do your thing. That's it. People think it's like this extreme aggressive in, aggressive out. And that's not how whales operate. Like, whales are usually a lot smarter than that.
Yeah, Trey's saying exit out 1 ETH a day. I mean, that's a significant amount of money over the course of the year right there. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it's a very good point. We've all seen protocols that have done that, and we've built something that is strong enough with a big enough foundation with a large enough liquidity web that's just getting bigger and bigger every day. That's what we're building, is something that's not going to just go up and then straight down. You know, that's the whole point. That's why this whole thing was made in the first place, is not another fucking pump a dump.
Yeah, and there's nothing to worry about. There's no VC tokens. Because like in a lot of these L1s and stuff, you have like 1% of the supply on lock-in every month, which could be a big chunk. That's like $50 million on lock-in every month. And people are fine with that. They're like, oh yeah, $50 million. And then the price goes down and all of a sudden they start caring. But they knew it before and they don't pay attention because the price is going up and then it's down only for the rest of the year because all these VC coins are unlocking. So we solved that with hyper-deflationary. So as time, with every move, TitanX gets stronger. With every move, a seller gets weaker. Like when a seller sells, he doesn't have any more tokens to sell. He doesn't magically print tokens out of thin air. There's no inflation in TitanX. The TitanX you have is the TitanX you got, and it's only going to get scarcer. So like sellers are out of tokens, but the TitanX machine doesn't stop. It's going to be hyper-deflationary whether you hate it or not. So that's going to be very interesting to watch that fight because sellers are not powerful. Like once they're out, they're out.
Yeah, and I don't think people get like how many times like when you exit your bag, 9 times out of 10, if you want to get back in, it's at a higher price, bro. So like when I watch people dump their bags, I'm almost like, yes, you can't hurt me in the future. Like
100%. Exactly. And we're in a nice uptrend. Like when you look at the chart, we're in a nice uptrend. But even like 4.5x off the bottom in a couple months. We did a 10x while we were hyperinflationary. Now we're hyper-deflationary. So like, yeah, it's this parade of imaginary horribles. Like it's instead of being solution oriented, which is what this ecosystem is, people are problem oriented, and just talking about problems all day just makes you depressed. Talking about solutions all day, because there is solutions. If you want to get more Ethereum into the TitanX liquidity pool that sits there, not as buy volume, but just sits there, promote the farms. 110% blue chip hyper-deflationary asset, 110% here in Titan farms. Like this ecosystem is so unbelievable.
Imagine you attract another 5-10 million into farms over the next month or two. What support that's going to do to the system?
Yeah, and actually, like if you wanna move up, lower liquidity is actually better.
Oh, that's true. People don't understand liquidity.
I don't know, not at all.
Like what? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, put it this way: if you got 100K in liquidity at something, that means that someone can rocket that price up with a very small amount coming in. Just a medium-sized whale can just completely send you to the moon on something that's super low liquidity. Yeah. And then Eric said, I guess today, yeah, imagine what happens when the selling stops. What happens to the price then?
Yeah, somebody in comments was like, how about investing into some promo videos to attract new investors? One question I always like asking them is like, hey, what did you do this week to help? Because my posts have $8 million, my God, 8 million impressions in the last 90 days. That's a lot. And all the people are like, oh, you should do more marketing. I look at their profile, they haven't retweeted, they haven't fucking tweeted a single thing. Just a profile picture, no post, and they're like, you need to do more. Like you are part of this. Like you own a part of a company in cyberspace, essentially. You are the network, you are the marketing department. It's like the reason cryptos have value is because the people work. They promote, they market, they communicate like, hey, this is why this thing is awesome. And when you talk about TitanX, you don't have this weird voice in the back of your head of like, hey, I'm just pumping a 90% owned by VCs token that everybody that gets in will get dumped on. But then my exit liquidity, so I'll exit. So like a lot of people feel comfortable marketing very, very shady shit. But then when it comes to something that is fair and pure, like every single token that was brought into existence for TitanX was minted by a user. If nobody participated, 0 tokens would exist. The liquidity pool wouldn't even exist. So this is as fair as it can possibly get. So like here, there's no weird things to wonder about. It's hyper-deflationary. You have a bunch of like self-incentivized, decentralized builders. The best farms in DeFi. Yeah.
Look, I think about it like this. If you're in America and you got a blue collar job, maybe you're making 40K, 50K, a year. Okay, great. Well, most people are in crypto because they want to make, crazy numbers. Okay. Well, if you think you're going to make one of those crazy numbers and you're not even going to put in a tenth of the work you put into your job that you make 50K on, how do you think this is going to work? Like money doesn't come out of thin air. You don't get new adopters to come in by not marketing, by not working for your backs. Do you want $1 million? Maybe put in the work that requires $1 million to come out of it. I'm just saying you can't expect everyone to do the work for you. I mean, yeah, very good point on that. Lots of people complaining about marketing are doing a very minimal amount of stuff.
Yeah, often 0. And when you look at the replies, all they're doing is just crying at people. It's like, oh, come on, be useless. Do something useful, essentially. Because like in crypto, if you have big position, because this is what massively experienced whales do. They get big positions into an ecosystem and then they help it grow. And this is why building on TitanX is such a big thing. Like a lot of the builders likely have big positions in TitanX and they want to see it do well. So therefore they build on it as a way of protecting their wealth. Like you can, yeah. Because the cool thing about hyperdeflation as well is, like, for example, $1 million of, no, $800,000 dollars worth of TitanX was burned in the last 18 hours-ish, I think. 18 hours. That's $1 million of sell pressure gone. It's $1 million of market cap gone. Because that supply is burned. No ladder, it's burned. So as the price moves up 10x, that's $10 million of market cap burned. So the market cap only gets smaller through hyperdeflationary, which that's a very, very interesting mechanic. So like market cap is not even a good metric on TitanX.
I already got people in the chat being like, is that your dog snoring? Yes, that's my dog snoring. I'm sorry. She's always sleeping. Yeah, those are good points. $69 trillion to $67 trillion. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it. That's a very good point. Like literally, it's free. It's free to work for your bags on social media.
Yeah, and there's nothing shady going on here. So it's like the purest form of crypto. It's like almost talking about Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin doesn't really have shady shit going on. Maybe now with BlackRock in the picture, there's like a lot of shady, like paper trading going on in the background, like manipulation. Like Bitcoin as a core DNA, it's pure. TitanX is very, very similar. Bitcoin was mined into existence by users. TitanX was mined into existence by users. There's $0 raised. There's zero pre-sale, zero sacrifice, zero money given to me. I paid everything out of pocket, like $150,000 out of pocket to build TitanX. And now it exists. Like I did the math. I spent close to $500,000 out of my own pocket to build protocols on TitanX, including TitanX. I raised $0 to do it. So this is as pure as it can get. And same thing with the builders. All these builders, they pay out of their own pocket to build a protocol on TitanX. Nobody gives them money. It's like this is as pure as a asset, as a community that you can get. Can't get more pure than this because there's no weird incentives happening in the background. There's no magic supply given to people in the background that get them to promote it. Like this is all grassroots, organic, from the ground up.
Yeah, and people talk about marketing, where they're like, oh, we didn't do marketing besides X, which don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna discount that. But let me just throw this out there. How did 99% of you find out about TitanX? On X. That's how you found out about it. Like, so that's where we're gonna grab most of our people, is on this platform. You gotta work and don't discredit what X is, because it is literally the biggest news source now in the entire world. More people are going to X than almost anything else on the internet. Like there is a point to that. Use it. And like Jake said, it's free. So if you want marketing, start leading the way. Make some videos, make some content. Like, the videos that I made in my car with my dog, that's because there wasn't anyone doing it. So I wanted to do it. I filled a little niche and I filled a hole, and I just said that, someone's gonna make a clip out of that. But I filled an opportunity. I took the opportunity and I took it. But look, I don't see a tremendous amount of art being made right now. I don't see a tremendous amount of videos being made, and there's always those chances. So I mean, someone is going to be the next big artist in TitanX. Hey, someone's going to be the next new snazzy streamer, and they're going to totally take it away from Callum, because that guy kind of took the top spot. But now I'm like, I need a collar now. I'm not wearing a suit, but I'll wear a collar. But there's a million opportunities to take in this system to help promote. Use them, take them. Hey, we got one of our community members is going to pop on and maybe ask a question.
Oh, nice.
What's up, Mr. CM? You are muted right now, but if you can hear me.
I was just trying to view the stream using StreamYard for the first time. I didn't mean to get called up on stage, but thank you anyway.
My bad, brother.
You got a good voice. You got a good voice.
You're here now. Do you want to ask a question?
No, but I think the mood will change within the next month or two, because think good things are just right around the corner. That's what everybody's saying about the crypto market these days. They're saying that AI and gaming and all of that is going to go to the moon soon. So looking forward to it. Hopefully TitanX will be a big part of that.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, because TitanX is essentially still just an altcoin. Like, it takes a while for it to become a blue chip. Usually, you become a blue chip once you survive 2 cycles. That's when it's like, okay, this thing is here to stay. And if you survive 3 cycles, like Dogecoin, for example, you're forever blue chip. Like, if you survive 3 cycles, you're a blue chip. So this is the first cycle of TitanX. We'll see what it does. If we can go back for the second cycle, which is very, very simple, then we might get that blue chip status. Because Ethereum started as an altcoin. Ethereum wasn't Ethereum on day one.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah,
that's a great
Chainlink
point.
started as an altcoin. Like, everything started as an altcoin except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin was always like, okay, this is Bitcoin's blue chip, but it's a $1.8 trillion asset, so it's not like you're gonna make crazy money on it. Like, for it to do a 2x, it needs to go up $2 trillion. That's a lot. I don't have $2 trillion in my pocket. Nation states are in. The world's richest people are in. Like, who else is there to buy? It's just basically DCA money from pension funds. That's the only like real thing that will push up the Bitcoin price over time, similar to how it happens with the S&P 500. But it's not like people will onboard their friends with $50 and all of a sudden the price is going to shoot up. So like, yeah, Bitcoin is like at the top of its adoption curve. Like, who else is there to buy?
That's a good point.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah, if you put $1,000 into Bitcoin and you want to make $1,000, Bitcoin has to go up another $97,000. Like, you don't quite understand what's going on there sometimes. I got $500 in Bitcoin. All right, well, let me know how that 750 is working out for you in a couple of years.
Yeah, it's a safe asset, but safe assets are not. Like, if you want to do gains, you have to go down the risk curve. That's always how it is in investing.
Yeah, I'm not talking down on it, but yeah, it's the old bigger risks present bigger opportunities. Less risks presents less opportunity. There's less risk in Bitcoin. You're not going to the moon with Bitcoin tomorrow. There's a lot more risk with something brand new, but it could go to the moon tomorrow. You never know.
Yeah, and people think Bitcoin is like savior assets in bear markets. Bitcoin goes on 80%. There's no fucking savior asset there. It's like it acts like an altcoin on the way down. It acts like a massively heavy tank on the way up, and then it acts like an altcoin on the way down. Like, there's no.
I think that's just a human pipe dream. Is how can I be insulated against the bear market? Well, believe me, people have been trying that in the stock market for their entire lives. Good fucking luck. You minimize the damage and you make it through to the other end. That's what you do.
Yeah. The bull run is here.
Question on Shogun pairs. How do you determine how much LP goes into them?
So I look at how much liquidity exists in the pool and then how much volume to liquidity ratio there is. So if it's 10K in liquidity, 1K of volume, that's a 10% volume to liquidity ratio. So if you have similar liquidity pairs, but one has way more volume than the other one, that's likely where most of the LP will get added. Because you want to generate volume with Shogun. And some coins just move around more and the prices are out of whack more, so the price fixer bots do more volume in that pool. That's how I determine it. I try to keep it relatively even across the pairs. But if there's like one outlier, then more liquidity gets added there. Okay. It's a volume to liquidity ratio.
Fair enough. Anyone? When's our next X28? Not like I'm already getting ahead of myself, but isn't there another one? I'm blanking in my head. I feel like there's another one coming very. That's long. That's using X28. We're using Shogun.
They build on X28. Well, there's a bunch of people building on X28 now. A lot of them. Yeah, it's like 5 to 7 protocols now. And some of them just switched over from TitanX to X28. So it's like existing protocols that we're building, and now they're integrating X28 because they're like, well, this is a genius idea. Let's do it. Yeah. Which the next one? I don't know what the next one is. I know Toros from Cryptographics is using it deeply, X28. Then Stacks from Dude is going to be using X28. Those are the two I know
It's
of that are
hard.
relatively.
Yeah, it's hard because you don't know who's spoken yet and what's out there. You don't want to blow up for the team and release something that they've already that they're holding back for a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's plenty coming.
Flare from Smooth and Crypto also uses X28.
That's what I was thinking. 'Cause I just did that. I did that yesterday, but I was like halfway in the hospital on conversations. I wasn't paying attention. My bad if you heard me. Sorry, Smooth and Crypto. I just said I wasn't paying attention on the stream. I spent a little bit. Yeah, so there's gonna be a bunch, and then we got 26 days left for the Shogun main distribution. 24
25.
days left. 25.
25 days left. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, Shogun. So Shogun is currently the 6th biggest to build on TitanX protocol, and X28 is number 3. So I want to get X28 as a number 1 and Shogun as a number 2. That's my goal. I want the number 1, number 2, and number 3 spot. Meritocracy, baby. I just want to win for the sake of winning.
I'm on the podium. Just me, and me.
Hey, that's the cool thing about a leaderboard. Whenever I see a leaderboard in anything, even if it's the best cleaners, I'll clean my ass off. I just want to get that number 1 spot. I like leaderboard.
But hey, winners want to fucking win. You know, most winners aren't that guy who goes, "Oh look, I won. How about that?" Like, no. I want that guy who goes, "No, I want to fucking win. I didn't win. I'm gonna win next time." Like, yeah, let's go. When Mogun, someone said they were gonna make a Mogun protocol, build on Shogun called Mogun. Okay. Hey, I appreciate you coming on stream. We did almost an hour here. I feel like that we got all the points off needed to get. Really, there's not any liquidity issues. It's been severely overblown. And if we see where we're going, and you see what X28 and Shogun are doing, we're just getting started. I mean, give that number out again. How much was burned in the last day again?
So in the last day, today alone, 1st of December, 991 billion, so a trillion, basically. $733,000, 0.84% of the supply today alone. Yeah, yesterday was bigger.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was 1.5 trillion, and then we had another big day 4 days ago that was 1 trillion. So today it was 1 trillion. Probably going to add up more as the Shogun auction comes to an end. Then 1.5 trillion yesterday, 800 billion the day before, and 1 trillion the day before. And then we had a couple days of like 500, 300, 600, 960. This is insane. Like this level of hyper-deflation I've never seen in anything. Because usually it's like, okay, the supply goes down like 3% a year. And that's like, holy shit, this thing is deflationary. You do that in 5 days.
Yeah. I mean, I hear people advertising some things where they're like, 4% has been burned. 4? We could do that in a couple of days. Good Lord.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the leading indicators. Like, yeah, sellers are emotional. Sellers are not a tokens. TitanX only gets stronger over time. So it's the weak fighting the strong until the strong wins.
How much? Okay, here we go. A whale is right now $824,000. So we're burning a whale a day.
Oh yeah, and there's not many whales. Let's look at how many whales actually have that position. There's
15. One Poseidon, which I imagine is the contract, and then 15 whales. Is what I see.
There's only 5 whales. There's only 5 whales.
Oh, that's right, because they're contracts, right?
Yep.
I didn't even think about that. So 5
that's
out
insane.
of the 15 whales. Here we go. Hang on. Bring that back up. There we go. So yeah, 10 out of 15 whales are smart contracts. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yep.
That's amazing. And then besides that, we're burning a possible whale position every day, every 2 days. Sometimes every 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah, every day.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I just want to do that. Like, that's a stat right there, a post right there. We burn a whale position almost every day.
Yeah, people need to market that now, because like for the last 2 weeks, because it takes a while for like this hyperdeflation to kick in, because like some
Yeah.
people are on Twitter every day, some people are like watch every 2 days, and it takes a while to get it into the zeitgeist. So my guess is like over the next 2-3 weeks, people are really going to click, and most people are going to know TitanX is hyperdeflation. They're kind of listening, even if they only like watch one stream a week or whatever, just to keep up to date. Like for example, my dad has a lot of TitanX, and he watches like a stream a week, doesn't give a fuck. He's like, yeah, just hold. It's like stocks, just hold and forget about it. And then when it's time, we just take a little bit off, and that's kind of how he does it. He does that with stocks. He does stocks for like 30-40 years. It's like these guys are very, very used to that mindset. So like they watch every once a week, and then like it starts clicking. Like it will probably take 3 weeks for people to really be like, holy fuck, this thing is hyperinflationary. Like we get it because we're in it every day. Yeah, so it will take a little bit for because everybody needs to market it. Everybody needs to market it hard, not just me. Because I'm like, me and like 3-4 other people on Twitter are like really talking about hyperinflation. And the rest, there's like still some talk about stakes. Like that's gone. There's still some talk about like, hey, there's like 20 billion miners coming out. It's like 20 billion. That's less than 15 grand. We're burning almost $1 million a day. There's still $950,000 of hyperdeflation in that day. So like people just need to update their worldview. And then once everybody starts talking about hyperdeflationary, that's, if you're an investor, a hyperdeflationary asset is kind of like that's the Goldilocks. This thing only gets gassed over time. There's more being built on it. Utility is being built on it. Borrowing and lending is coming. The best DeFi farms are on it. We're gonna have DEX aggregated at buy and burns. Like, yeah, a hyperdeflationary asset. You can't get better than that.
We need a like the national debt clock, but in reverse for the TitanX.
Yeah, man, I'm working on something like that. I'm trying to figure out how to get it on the stat page, where you can just see the mountain of supply of hyperinflation and then just hyperdeflation. It's like, it literally looks like a mountain. So
maybe like some sort of a thing where you can do like a visualization animation of like the last 10 days of deflation, and you just watch it be
yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be sick. Yeah, so I'm figuring that out now. There's still some UI tweaks I need to make to like Shogun. Actually, no, I think most of it is done. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out that stats page thing now. Because if everybody can just screenshot, share on socials, that's really going to hit. Because once it's visual, people can like, holy shit, what the hell? Look at that mountain. That's insane.
That's how you say the leading indicators, lagging indicators. A lot of these people have to actually see it at the last stage. We're like, okay, it's actually tipped over the mountain. Now it's significantly down. Now you can see it tip over, but I'm not believing in it until it goes all the way over. That's just some of those people. So yeah, we're getting there. Like you say, a whale position at least almost every day. Like that's so insane. That's the new thing I'm rolling with. We're burning a whale every day over here. Somebody contact Greenpeace. We're just murdering whales left and right over here.
Yeah.
All right, love it. All right, last words.
And all the disclaimers. Not financial advice, but all need to zero. We're looking at this work. It was an experiment. But right now, the experiment is pretty damn sick.
Yeah, it's going well. Can't wait to see where it goes. Just, like everything else, it's time and math. And if a protocol launches, 24 to 48 hours might not be the amount of time to properly judge it, considering we're in such a time-based system here. So I love where we're going. You can see it in the metrics. Like you said, there's leading indicators, there's lagging indicators, but hopefully all of us are going to start seeing it very clearly soon. Just start parroting the same idea. It is hyperdeflation. We are burning a whale position almost every day. Let's fucking go. So, guys, have a great day. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Jake, thanks for being on. Peace.